Good morning, participant. You are welcome to the ninth episode of Chat with Expert, a monthly virtual event organized by the Institute of Data Science and Artificial Intelligence, IDSAI Nigeria, a professional body that focuses on creating multidisciplinary synergies for data science and artificial intelligence application. The Chat with Experts is organized to expose the general public to gainful application of data science and artificial intelligence. Today, the program that will be handling today is titled The Intersection of Data Science, Econometrics and Finance, a Practical Approach. And with us, we have Dr. Festus Adedoyin, who will be the speaker for today's episode of Chat with Expert. Dr. Festus Adedoyin is a graduate from University of Ibadan, where he has a BSc in Economics, and then he proceeds to Ahmadu Bello University, where he has his master's in Economics. After that, he pursued his doctorate degree in Bournemouth University, United Kingdom, where he was retained as a lecturer and a researcher. He is a chartered management and business educator with research interests in machine learning, econometrics, finance, data science, and artificial intelligence. He is a member of a number of professional bodies, which time will not permit us to list them out. So please permit me to welcome Dr. Festus Adedoyin. Dr. Festus Adedoyin, you are welcome and you have the floor. I remain your humble anchor for today's event. My name is Abdulwahid Adebola Yusuf from Institute of Data Science and Artificial Intelligence, Nigeria. Thank you. Over to you, Dr. Festus Adedoyin.
Thank you very much for that beautiful introduction. I'm very pleased to be here this morning to share my practical experience in the marriage and union between data science, the field of econometrics, and its application to finance. I will be sharing briefly this morning, mostly in terms of what we can do and trying to understand where the future is heading towards in this area of research. I just want to give a quick disclosure that the conversation today is mostly about tools that we use, to find new solutions or to improve on current solutions. And so data science itself, econometrics itself, they are tools, but the application goes beyond several fields. It goes from finance to energy to tourism to agriculture and on and on. So that is where we will set up the foundation for today's conversation. To run through the content I will be looking at, I would give a bit of introduction while I try to accommodate the different terminologies and their simple meaning for those who may not have that background, and then try to see, to decipher whether either of these fields can operate independently or if they have some form of interconnectedness across the three fields we're looking at. And then try to bring in how data science come into the conversation, and then approach each of these domains and then conclude with practical application and some useful resource that are trending today in the field. And then finally, I would welcome questions, comments, feedback, and we can have that conversation about where the future is heading to. To start with, it is important to understand that there are quintillions bytes of data that we generate every day globally. All over the world, every day, people continue to generate data in virtually everything that we do. And almost 90% of this data has been created in the last 2 years. So we see disruptions happening in tech. We see how a lot of innovations are coming up in recent times. And that just goes to show how data has continued to evolve. Different kinds of data, different forms of data are coming up. Their use, their application, their purposes are also coming up globally. And that just tells us how important data is in trying to be successful in any industry whatsoever. Again, it could be tourism, it could be agriculture, it could be finance, it could be mining, it could be anything. It could be governance, it could be anything, politics. Data is at the center of it all. And we know that experiments, observations, numerical simulations continue to happen in many areas of science, of business, of technology, of arts, and so on and so forth. And all of this keeps generating new forms of data that goes beyond, even petabytes and even more forms of new data that have been generated. All of these data that is being generated continue to lead to breakthroughs, new approaches to finding solutions, new styles of doing research. And what we are doing at the Institute of Data Science and AI is very important, because we need to start the conversation about what's the future, where is the future going, particularly for Africa and other continents of the world. Where does the Institute of Data Science and AI, how do we come in? How do we join this conversation? And where are we heading to for finance, for agriculture, and so on and so forth? So we see that new information-based industry, I imagine, industries that do not sell physical products, but just sell services. So if you look at what we do at the Institute of Data Science and AI, for example, we offer services. So we can say, okay, we need students or we need professionals to join the institute. And so who are they? What's their history like? What's their career path like? And how do we recruit people to join us to grow this network, to grow this institute? All of these are information-based. Details of people, their career path, where they're coming from, and so on and so forth. So there are new frontiers that continue to come from big data, analytics, and so on and so forth. So as a form of introduction, I just thought it would be important to start this conversation from here. And if you look at what I have on the screen right now, we're saying when we talk about data itself, it's important to understand data. It's important to know how data is processed. It's important to know how we extract value from data. It's important to visualize, make sense of that data, because sometimes you could just have data, but it's meaningless. So making sense of that data, communicating what you find generally is what the focus of data is. But in the next decade, as we move on, and as the Institute of Data Science and AI, which we are all on this platform today, as it positions itself globally in the sphere of what the future looks like, it's important to know what sort of skills are we talking about as we move on. This is not only a professional level, even the market women, even the footballers, everybody needs to understand what sort of data are we talking about. Where is the future heading to in terms of data science, in terms of econometrics analysis and all of that. So educational level, even from primary school. If you look at Japan, if you look at China, I know some schools in Victoria Garden City or in Banana Island, in Nigeria, in Lagos, or even Abuja, have schools for kids where kids go and learn data science or data analytics or programming. Python, all of these are important right from this moment. So this is an important conversation that this institute is having today. And so it is necessary for everybody to get on board in this conversation. And I know, with what we are doing, with what the IDSAI is doing, we are setting a standard for the future, because now we know there are free data everywhere. If you go on YouTube, if you collect data, if you go to browse any website, you see cookies and analytics, your information, your profile, you are being configured. Everything about you is being collected. And so something can be recommended. Say, for example, the director of IDSAI browses for a shoe on Amazon, for example, puts a size. In 2 weeks, Amazon will send him an email and suggest a cloth that matches that shoe. So there is analytics, there is data going on in the background that we do not know. So it's free, it's available. And so it's scarce. We do not have many people in the world that can extract value from data. And that is why we need this sort of conversation on this platform. Not many people can extract value from data. Yes, there's data everywhere. Yes, we have all of that financial data, but how do we extract that data? Value from that data. Not just the data itself, but to get value from that data. And so you have econometrics, you have data science. Those fields help us to grab value from that data. So to meet up with the future, there is a need to properly position the data science, the interconnectedness between these three fields properly for the future. And that's why we are all here today. And that's what I will be doing in the next few minutes. The application of data science in finance and econometrics, but I will also digress at some point talking about agriculture, just so everybody can see the need that this intersection is not just about the field of data science or finance alone. So to start with, we look at data science as a field. We see data science as a field that applies advanced analytics techniques to extract valuable, again, the word value is coming up. So everybody has data, everybody generates data in one way or the other. There are free data on the internet everywhere, but not many people can extract value from data. But we need people to extract value from data so we can make valuable decisions, strategic planning. If you look at what's happening in Africa, in Rwanda, in South Africa, in Lagos, the government is trying to make mega cities and build new road networks, build new agricultural mechanisms, create systems that can produce rice, produce beans and stuff locally without having to import from China or from the US. But we need correct data. We need value from data. First, we need the data to bring it together, process them, but we need to get value so we can make decisions and strategic planning. And so data science as a field helps us to manage and manipulate, extract value from that data, interpret what the data means. It doesn't matter how big or how voluminous that data is. So there are theories, there are techniques that come together from many fields that are used to investigate very large amounts of data to help decision makers in many industries, such as science, engineering, politics, agriculture, education, and so on and so forth, to make sense of that data. And so when we look at data science, we bring together three things. We bring together the discipline of computer science, we bring together the discipline of math and statistics, but also business information. That's also another area that comes in collaboration together to make up that field of data science, which is why data science is trendy. Data science and AI and what they can do is very unique. It's evolving because how it comes together, it brings all sorts of fields together. So I could say, I am a business analyst, or I am a business informatics. So I can tell you what's going to happen to your business in the future. Say, for example, you start up a new business to produce, say, for example, a small business in Lagos to produce some shoes or to sell some products. I can tell you where your future will end up in the next 10 years by just taking data, early data, and predicting what the future looks like. So there are business informatics, there are statistics, computer science in form of coding, and we have places, things like SQL and so on and so forth, Power BI and Python softwares, which I will talk about in a minute. So that's how this field comes together. But then when we move forward a little bit to think about econometrics itself, what does it mean? Why talk about econometrics? We're looking at the practical application of two things: statistics and mathematics. The purpose of that is to help us solve economic theories, to help us test economic theories. So if I say, for example, women in Nigeria don't vote, only 10% of women in Nigeria or in Ghana vote during general elections, I could theorize, I could hypothesize and say that the reason for why women don't vote is because they're pregnant, they're afraid. For example, these are just examples. So if I theorize, we don't know if that is true. That could just be me, theorizing how I feel or following some form of assumptions. But when we subject that to data analysis, when we subject that to some analysis in the field of politics, then we can say, okay, well, this is not necessarily true. In the field of econometrics, as a tool, we bring mathematics and statistics together to test economic theories in this case. So it's a field in economics that helps us quantify economic theories. And historically, most economists only relied on economic theories and hypotheses, but they were not quantified. They were not tested empirically. And so with econometrics, economists were finally able to test these theories or to develop new ones based on data and evidence and empirical analysis. So that is the field of econometrics on its own. And when we move on to think about the field of finance, I mean, everybody here on this call today, we have something to do about finance, personal budgeting, investment prospects, listening to the news, stock market, what's happening in the economy, inflation, and all of these issues all come together in terms of the management of money, the management of investments, or other financial instruments like stock or shares or bonds. All of these come together in the field of finance. And you also think of things like borrowing or lending or loans or savings. All of this, forecasting, predicting what the outcome of an investment will be based on some assumptions. All of this So all of this help us to understand what the field of economics is about. And so to really understand that, we have these fields together. I beg your pardon. To bring together this field, to try to marry all together, we now try to consider the intersections. So when we say financial data science at this point, we're saying the application of data science techniques to issues of finance. Remember, previous slide, I said issues of finance or in the financial domain goes, from savings to investment analysis to forecasting, financial instruments, how it works, loans, lendings, borrowing, credit cards, and all of these come together within that field. So financial data science here says we're applying the tools of data science, which again, remember I said there are three things that come together in data science. You have the computer science, maths and statistics, but also business informatics. All of these three makes up that data science field. Then financial data science now says we're applying all of those three dynamics within the field of finance. So to do that, we're applying data science tools or econometric tools to financial data. It is what we need to now talk about. What are financial data? What do they mean? And these are the traditions of econometrics coming together to marry with technological components of data science apply to financial data. So say, for example, my borrowing behavior, or our director from the Institute of Data Science and AI is investment behavior. So what sort of investment portfolio does he have? So if we look at historically 10 years of investment, just his personal data, we say that financial data, if we use data science tools and technologies to analyze and predict what his next 10 years or 5 years will be, or will look like for his investment, then we are practically coming together to think, okay, maybe you need to diversify more, and then we make decisions. We get value from that data. But let's try to decipher. What if I just decide to focus only on econometrics, or I just decide to focus on data science? I don't need to know. I mean, what's the point? I just focus on data science, or I just focus on econometrics. By the way, I have worked and I currently work across these two fields, data science, econometrics, and I apply to finance and other areas. So I see that it's impossible, in summary, to isolate the field of data science and econometrics without necessarily trying to learn from each other. So recently, I published a paper that looks at Japan and trying to understand how Japan is a very complex economy, and trying to do a policy design, a public policy design for Japan. And in that paper, we did model econometrics. We did the modeling with econometrics tools, but we did the prediction using machine learning. So the purpose of marrying both together is that you have a very strong empirical evidence when you do that. You have a very strong empirical evidence when you model with econometrics using Stata or any other tools, software, and then you predict using Python, Jupyter notebooks, using machine learning or any other algorithms, R or any other software you find relevant. That's the power of these fields coming together. That way, you can make a very strong prediction of a financial behavior, say investment or savings or loans behavior, correctly and accurately. So looking at our conversation this morning, I've been trying to understand the concept of data itself. We need value from data. We need people who can get us value from data. That's what we need. I've been trying to understand the field of economics, people who theorize, who say, well, this is what demand. Another good example, just to use a very simple example, we can all understand, is that if you look at ice cream and weather. So if you say that ice cream and weather have a negative relationship. So if I say that ice cream gives us if I say that ice cream is a function of weather, if I say that the hotter the weather, if it's very hot, people will buy more ice cream. If it's very cold, people will buy less ice cream. So there is that relationship. If I theorize, if I say that's a theory, then I use some econometric tools. If I just theorize without econometrics, I might just be saying that, these are just, theoretically speaking, so historically in the 1910s, in the 1930s, people merely theorize. So everybody agrees, because philosophically speaking, if I say that the weather is hot, then people will buy more ice cream. If the weather is cold, people will buy less ice cream. That's the theory, and that's it. That's all we know. But actually, when we go a bit further, now recently we come up with econometrics. So, well, why don't we subject this, your lovely theory, to analysis? Let's collect data. So for the next 5 days, we're going to collect data in summer when it's very cold about how many ice cream people bought and how many degree Celsius was the weather. Then in winter, when it's very cold, we're also going to collect data. How many ice cream did people buy? What was the degree Celsius? Then we test, we go to regression, or we go through correlation, do some analysis and try to see, is there a relationship? Now we are doing econometrics, empirically getting evidence for that theory. So the point is, one field cannot survive without the help of the other. Why data science uses mathematics, statistics, computer science to give meaning to financial data. Econometrics also, on its own capacity, does its job. It focuses on collecting, analyzing non-experimental economic data. That could be data about demand and supply. That could be data about the behavior of people. in terms of inflation, or in terms of the housing market, or we have different fields of tourism economics. There's tourism economics, there's agricultural economics, there's international economics, and so on and so forth. There's financial economics as well. So doing non-experimental economic data and trying to analyze it. So naturally, econometricians have borrowed from these mathematical statisticians whenever possible. So we have that interconnection. And so we also see that economists applied econometrics for financial purpose. They try to use econometrics to analyze financial data, and then they try to understand financial econometrics, which is also another aspect of finance. So it looks at capital markets, it looks at stock market, it looks at labor market, corporate finance, financial institutions, corporate governance, and on and on. And it looks at, using econometric tools to financial data, again, getting value and testing theories, mostly for predictions and so on and so forth, for relationship, for competitiveness, and liquid market. This is something people do in London a lot. So in London, we have a lot of service company, financial headquarters of many organizations here in London. And what you'll find is people use econometrics tools significantly to make decisions about investments, about the future, about the markets, and what investment will look like going forward. And how do we bring in data science here? In data science, you would have, if you look at machine learning, for example, there'll be supervised learning, there'll be unsupervised learning, and this can help financial economists. Again, remember, each of these fields cannot stand on their own. There's that relationship. People use it to make informed decisions, to understand the movement of business, to try to do, for example, look at risk analytics, where data science and business intelligence comes together to say, well, why don't you diversify your portfolio? Or why don't you look into this other field? So it brings together that field very, very nicely to help us to see how trustworthiness of business investment looks like. We also make real-time analytics. One thing that data science helps us to do in terms of making institutions, helping them to track transactions, credit scores, even governance. So financial authorities, for example, like the Bank of England, or the government, the Home Office, or any bank, if you want to buy a mortgage, say, for example, our director at the Institute of Data Science and AI wants to buy a house, decides to take a mortgage. The bank would look at his financial history, look at his borrowing history, look at how his investment history looks like, their commitments to his finances. Say, for example, he earns £3,500 every month after tax. The bank wants to see how does that money go. So say, for example, he repays some loan, he pays for his car loan, he pays for his insurance, he pays for his children's school fee, his children's child care, he pays for other this, pays for that. They look at his portfolio overall and make a real-time analytics decision. Say, well, with what we have, with how we see AI, analyzing your history and predicting what the future looks like, we don't think we can give you more than £250,000 for this mortgage. So this is real-time understanding historical data and predicting what the future look like. We also see the benefits of custom analytics. If we want to predict, for example, whether the Institute of Data Science and AI will be able to have students who will register for training, professionals who will be part of the institutes, if we want to predict what sort of customers, if we want to understand our customer base. So I am an invited guest for this talk. We have people who are listening in from all over the world. We have people who would like to be part of IDSAI. We have government people from the government who want to accredit what we do on this platform. We have people who would want to work with us from the US. Say, for example, Microsoft decides to say, well, we want to work with IDSAI and train young undergraduates from private universities in Nigeria. Can you help us? How do we network the vice chancellors and the heads of departments? How do we want to give you the money, IDSAI, and then you go ahead and do this for us. So we have, those are different customer base, the government, NGOs, private companies from all over the world, students who want to be part of the institute, professionals, experts, and so on and so forth, members, staff within. So customer analytics, try to use real-time analytics to understand what the future looks like for every organization. I like to say this, for every organization. This is not just about Amazon or Nike or Adidas, who have customers and they sell products. This also matters for people or companies, organizations who render services like IDSAI. So on this platform, you render services, be it for paid or you offer services. So what data science can do is to take insights on consumer behavior and try to make decisions based on that. So you look at the Institute of Data Science and AI, say, for example, in Oxford, if they have something like that, or in Cape Town, South Africa, if they have something like that, or in Luxembourg, or anywhere in the world, or in China, or in Hong Kong, and try to see what do they do differently. So we want to learn the customer behavior of such institutes from other places and try to predict what's the future like for IDSAI. This is where data science comes in. Pardon me for not focusing too much on finance. I just want to use as many examples as possible so we can relate to the conversation. So this is where data science comes in significantly. In addition to that, we also see in terms of customer data management, trying to understand how customer data management comes in this case, in terms of big data, revolutionizing financial institutions' function. So I'm not sure if we have something like that in Nigeria, but there are a lot of fintechs growing globally. Financial technology companies in the UK, you have Monzo, you have Revolut. There are quite a lot of these fintechs, fintech companies coming up. A very good example could also be, you have a lot of cryptocurrency, Bitcoins, and all of these new dynamic currencies coming up. You have different trading platforms. And then we see how do these predictions come about? Data is the oil that fuels the engine of most of these businesses, of these financial organizations. So data is the oil. But data is a crude oil for this engine. So think about Monzo, a financial technology company, for example, and you say data is the oil, okay, that fuels what this company does. But in my own opinion, that data is merely a crude oil. And if you think about what crude oil is in Nigeria, for example, you don't just take crude oil, as it were, and pour in your engine. What happens? Anybody in the chat? What happens if you put crude oil in your engine? Probably knocks it off.
Yes, definitely. it will spoil the engine.
It destroys the engine, absolutely.
Yes.
I remember one time when I was living in Port Harcourt, and then some of those guys would put, the oil spill from the river, and they would just put red paint in that oil, and then it smells like PMS, and then they go and sell it. What happens is it knocks the engine off. That is exactly what data can be to any financial technology company. If it's not refined, remember you have to refine crude oil into PMS, diesel, bitumen, and so many other 15, 17 more products, gas and all of that. The thing is, if you pour that raw data into your engine as a financial company, you only destroy your business. The truth is, we need value from that data. The value that data gives, that's the PMS. So it's not just data. This is very common. I mean, this is a very common mistake we make. It's not just data. Oh, you need data to make informed decisions. Well, I agree with you, but not just any data. Some data can mislead a financial company. Some data can misdirect your decision making. And so we need this data to be valuable. So we need experts like what we do at IDSAI. We need experts to be trained. We need platforms like this ninth forum we're discussing. More forums will still come where the conversation continues. And what we try to do is to help people know the value of data. If you can give me a valuable data and I can plug that valuable data into my machine intelligence framework, and I can make a decision based on that, then I get a reward. Then it's profitable. Then data science is useful for me. Econometrics is useful for me at that point, because you, as an analyst, you have helped me to make sense of that data. So I just want to, spend a bit of time there, to just decipher that bit of our conversation today. So you have machine learning algorithm, for example, that does a very fine job in revolutionizing financial trends, in trying to see market value, bringing market value through customer data analysis. But we also see another function providing personalized services. And with the data that is provided by the users, financial institutions can then take actionable decisions. They can then move forward to increase their profits, to take up the markets, enlarge their market share from a small company to a big company. And that is what we see. One of the things that the Institute of Data Science will be helping companies to do. I would like to know more as we move on about IDSAI, what we do, and so on and so forth. That would be good. So there's also fraud detection. There's also algorithm trading. All of these responsibilities and roles are the things that happen in the field of data science. And then we move on to kick up the conversation and try to see the three domains and how they come together. The domain of econometrics, data science, and finance. Now, you see machine learning models works very well in data science. You see deep learning model. Deep learning goes even way into neural networks, experiments, recurrent neural networks, and so on and so forth. You see machine learning models moving into statistical model analysis that estimates reward relationships and so on and so forth. But you also see linear regression. These are things that econometrics can handle conveniently. I must say that I personally use Stata very well, and I use Python very well for analytics. And I realized recently in my practical example, where I tried to advise the Japanese government in a published paper about policy options for using machine learning and using econometrics at the same time. In that paper, I didn't use Python for the machine learning aspect. I used econometric software, Stata. So you will see that econometrics software are even waking up to try to say, man, if we don't upgrade our game, we are going to lose in this market. We need to accommodate machine learning and deep learning models in our software framework. And they are doing very well in that, because you have people, professors, experts, who are already stuck with Stata as an econometric software. They say, well, that's all I know how to do. I can't bother myself learning R. I can't bother myself learning Python. I will stick to my Stata. And so you want to make sure that that Stata then can be able to also do machine learning efforts and deep learning effort as well, which I believe conveniently they are upgrading every day to accommodate. So we think of financial markets, we think of risk analytics. These are all in the financial domain. We think of quantitative methods in terms of statistical analysis, mathematical analysis, numerical analysis. This goes from your linear regression, your fixed effect modeling, and and a lot of other modeling that we do, and using all kinds of data. So you could use primary data you gather together from surveys. It could be surveys conducted over and over and over again, rounds of surveys. It could be time series data where you collect over a time period. It could be daily, weekly, millisecond data. There are several levels of data, unbelievable, seconds per second stock market data that are very informative and very large, big data that can conveniently work in econometrics domain. You also have panel data that mixes cross sections and time series together, and on and on and on. You have simulation data. I work very well a lot with simulation data. where I can take scenarios. I could take scenarios. I could look at a company and look at another company, take their policy options and predict using simulation, trying to see if you do this, this can happen. If you do that, that will happen. I do that very, very often. So we have all of these coming together to marry very clearly. You can't you can't separate them. There's that synergy across these fields. And in terms of practical application, if you look at statistics, for example, basically, if you go to your Excel, advanced Excel, for example, simple Excel can do this. Simple Excel can do correlation. Simple Excel can do regression. Excel sometimes could even do much more. Some people use SPSS as a tool very well to just try to understand data they collect. SPSS can do stuffs, could do structural equation modeling, could do hypothesis testing, at several significance levels. So these are things we do with some of these softwares. And if you also move on, I have to finish quick so we can take time for questions. I think it's good. We have time for questions and we can relate after this. So again, if you use time series data analysis, for example, you could do decomposition in terms of trying to see troughs and trends in terms of times where you have peaks, you have troughs, and so on and so forth. So in terms of practical application, yes, over time, you can try to also understand the data, the trend in the data, and so on and so forth. But also, in terms of machine learning, we need to understand the details about supervised, unsupervised machine learning, for example. We cannot cover all of the fields of data science, but in terms of machine learning, you have all these components where you look at, all of them coming together in machine learning. You have supervised, unsupervised, reinforcement, and semi-supervised learning. And all of these have their different connections together in trying to make sense. If you look at regression, for example, you can do regression with Stata and econometric software, where you do house price prediction or stock market prediction. But you could also do that with data science, with machine learning. You could accommodate even large data sets. You could accommodate. One of my students recently tried to predict, is on my LinkedIn profile, tried to predict how to detect hyper-partisan news. Hyper-partisan news is where, the news is very biased towards a particular political party. News articles are not like numbers, financial data. News articles are text. So using LSTM, for example, to try to understand and code how that data. So if I can put a particular news article on that model that we constructed, it can tell me, it can predict whether that news article is hyper-partisan, is very biased towards a particular political party and the agenda. So there are all kinds of things we can do with data science. And you can even do that with financial news articles as well. It might not be hyper-partisan in this case, but it could be called something else. And you could see whether tweets or news articles from Bloomberg or other financial outlets are biased towards a particular country or towards a particular company. So these are all ideas, we can also explore using data science too. So there are lots of things that connect together, practically things we can do in applying these tools. And if we go a bit further, again, into supervised learning, you would see where you have labeled data and you have the machine itself, you have the ML model itself, and then these can conveniently make predictions. The skills required, this is where I would like to strongly appreciate what the Institute of Data Science and AI in Nigeria, by our director and the team, what you're doing. It's important to continue the conversation. I really strongly want to encourage that this conversation continues, because what you're doing, we may not see the value enough now, but in the next 5 years, in the next 10 years, we'll look back and say, wow, thank goodness we have IDSAI in Nigeria that have invested in people. Data scientist skills, I just want to recommend, because traditionally econometrics is very common. It's quite easy. It's saturated in the market, and you can conveniently learn the loads of resources. But data science is not new, but it's sort of new to people in adoption in terms of usage. And so again, just to appreciate the effort of IDSAI, you need to use skills like Python, that connects teamwork and working together. You need advanced statistics. Now, when I say you need, I'm not saying it in form of prerequisite. You don't need to have them to start learning them. So I don't need to be a coder. I don't need to be a programmer, okay, to be able to use data science or AI tools. What I need is a good laptop and a good internet and the support of IDSAI running these workshops and these conversations, and maybe learn from professionals. Have access to the internet, have access to a good functioning laptop, and then kick off the learning process. All the prerequisites you need is that interest. And in terms of high-level maths, again, it's not a requirement for starting the journey, but it's something you can appreciate, excuse me, as you move on. These are all of the areas or benefits that data scientist skills can help you. You could become business wise. Your communication could improve. You could have knowledge of how to use Python, advanced Excel, SQL, and NoSQL. Generally, my own personal advice, if you permit me, is that start with advanced Excel. So generally, most people would have some knowledge of Excel, at least some basic, typing in Excel and all of that. But start with advanced Excel, and then move on to SQL, and then move on to Python, and then move on to Power BI. Not in any order, but these are things, to get into that space. I would normally recommend. Again, that's not the case for everybody, but I think it's a good model if you want to start the journey, if you have not already started that journey. I'm happy to take questions on that at the end of my presentation. There are softwares, again, as I've mentioned, like Python, which you could use. Learning repositories that are free. There's Kaggle. Kaggle has a lot of data sets. You could subscribe, it's free. They have lots of competition, some $50,000, some $100,000, some $10,000 competition. What they do there is a business can put up their data set, put up their ideas, and say, you know what, this is what we want people to do for us. And people from all over the world, they just sit there in their room and just, play around with the data, create workable notebooks in terms of, codes and all of that, and then get solutions and then win these awards, join the competition and win some money. So right from the comfort of your room, you can actually do that. It might take time to grow your skill to that level, but you can do it. You can start learning, and then you could win some of these competitions and win thousands of dollars or pounds. And then you also have repositories where you can find free data from the US government or from the World Bank, financial data or agricultural data from the Food and Agriculture Organization, data about Europe from the EU, data about the UK from the the Bureau of Statistics, and so on and so forth. So you need data to play with, but don't forget, as we've said today, you need value from that data. And there are other computing resources like AWS, Amazon Web Services. You have Google. There's Google Collaboration, where you could start working together with your friends. There is Rackspace. There are loads and loads of resources out there. These are just a few trustworthy resources that you can also explore. I just want to say one thing before I hand over to my amiable director. I just want to say that what we have, what we're talking about, inviting experts, this 9 session and 10 and 11 and many, many more sessions, symposiums and workshops that we have are not commonplace. 10 years ago or 20 years ago, we didn't have all of these rapid lectures and the world being connected. The world has never been disconnected before. And we're getting so connected. Somebody like me sit down here in the UK, giving a global lecture to people all over the world. It's never been that way. So that means we do not really have an excuse to not grow. in trying to understand econometrics, data science, finance, or any other field you're from. So I just want to encourage that we keep exploring. I have a lot of projects that are ongoing that marries this resource together. So I've just completed a research with one of my colleagues about sentiments, investment sentiments. This is a financial domain. We are saying that if Dangote decides to visit Rwanda and say, oh, wow, Rwanda is beautiful. I love what Paul Kagame is doing. Oh, this is amazing. And then decides to say, well, and then maybe say, oh, wow, I love this place, very beautiful. I'm going to invest my cement factory in this country. Sentiments, investor sentiments. So we're trying to use that data of traffic, travel, the nature of business travel, holiday travels, and trying to connect it with sentiments. Does it help? Does it bring in investment? Does it bring in stock market trending? What's the behavior of the data? What's the value we can get from that data? These are practical ideas. These are real life scenarios that we can all explore. And on that note, I'm going to hand over to my director, and I'm just going to say thank you for the opportunity. And I look forward to questions, comments, feedback, contribution. Thank you very much. Thank you.
That is a wonderful contribution, a wonderful presentation from Dr. Festus. Is indeed loaded, and I will want to say thank you again, and we really appreciate your insights. Am I audible? Can you hear me?
Thank you. Yes, okay. I can hear you. Thank you.
Well, I will start from is that you ask a question before we open the floor for questions and comment from the participants. You ask that, what do we do? We want to know more of what we do in the Institute. It's not a big deal. I will just summarize for you. You can check our website or our LinkedIn page for more information of our aims and objectives. But to summarize it, what we are trying to do is that we realize that data science is multidisciplinary. And we cannot be calling for projects that will touch the lives of ordinary Nigerians without people across different sectors, across different domains, across different professions, understand what data science is all about. And when you are presenting, you keep on emphasizing on business domain knowledge, which you, in your words, you call it business informatics. So without the understanding at this diverse level, we cannot make any meaningful impact.
Absolutely.
So before we'll be talking of saying we want to be organizing training for people, high-level training to help them develop their skills, we need to make people understand what it's all about, just a simple understanding. Because people perceive data science as what should be left to the people in the computing domain, I mean the IT professionals. But here are the IT professionals, they know how to code, they may be good in math and statistics, but they lack the business knowledge. And how can we create this middle ground? We cannot expect a medical doctor, for example, or an accountant, or an investment portfolio manager to behave like a data scientist who have dedicated a lot of his time using state-of-the-art tools to handle data science projects. When it comes to his own field of his own domain, his own field of expertise. So these are the issues we are having, and we say, okay, before we go to the level of conducting high-level training, specialized training in different disciplines. For example, now, when you are talking about econometrics, you find it easy to use Stata.
Yes.
And you will be so shocked that within Stata, Python console is integrated in it.
Yes, absolutely.
So you realize that there are a lot of packages, a lot of applications that give you a number of flavors to diversify your domain understanding when it comes to applying data science skills, or what you may call it, So now, if you don't have the basics of econometrics, and will you be able to solve any problem in your domain? Definitely no. You cannot do anything with data science tools. So it's even better that you have the data science, the domain knowledge, and you have the basics of data science tools. So with this, you will be able to do something that would be at least relevant with the little data science skills that you have to solve a problem in your domain. So our focus is to see how we can support gainful application of data science and artificial intelligence to touch the lives of ordinary Nigerians. That is our focus. But what we are doing now is advocacy, organizing webinar, organizing events like this, either by ourselves or through collaborations, to make sure that people in different domains understand what data science is all about, what artificial intelligence is all about. We've organized a virtual event under the Chat with Expert series in domains such as oil and gas, the upstream sector of oil and gas, in security, in health sector, in business, small and medium scale businesses, and this is what we are trying to do. Today now we are into finance and econometrics. So tomorrow we can go to other domains, mining. We've did something on geographical information system, how we can use satellite imagery or, related technology to solve issues relating to geography, relating to Earth observation, and so on. And as we are bringing people from different backgrounds, it will be easy for people in similar or the same domain to understand someone from their domain or similar domain when he's talking to them on how data science can be useful to solve the problems associated with that particular domain. So that's what we are trying to do, and we are open to collaboration. And I want to ask you, you have a lot of projects with you. We are open to collaboration. Are you ready to collaborate with us to conduct a research the likes of which you did for Japan, like rendering a kind of a public financial advisory to Nigeria with the data we have available? Because so though you may see it IDSAI as a global body that we are trying to get in touch with people across the world, but our primary concern, our primary focus is in Nigeria, so that we can see how we can key in with current initiatives that is being launched by the government in the digital space to make Nigeria a major player in the digital economy. So please, over to you before you just in a minute or two, I will want you to respond. Then we can now take questions and answer from people directly or through the comments. Thank you.
Thank you very much, my director. Thank you very much. I mean, that's a very, very profound analysis of what IDSAI does. And to be honest, I'm very, very impressed and very excited that you have taken this initiative. We cannot talk enough. We cannot overemphasize the importance of starting this conversation or carrying the conversation forward. I was talking to a few colleagues at the public forum in Ghana just last week, and I was trying to share with them the fact that I do lots of projects about the EU or about the US or Japan, and the reason why it's easy for many people to do these projects about these developed countries is because they have data. They have data, they have resources. And so I was saying to the guys in Ghana that, you know what, we need to start collecting data, correct data that we can leverage on. So what you do at the institute here is very significant, is very central to the development of Nigeria. So thank you again for kicking off this initiative. I'm very pleased that you have started this, and I'm very confident that, you know, with all of the investment of your time and energy and resources and bringing people together, young and old, across sectors, it will definitely yield some very good fruits. And yes, I am very happy to join collaboration. I mean, I'm from Nigeria, so I lived all my life in Lagos, from Obafemi Owode local government in Ogun State. So I am happy, you know, to give back to my home, you know, to support the initiatives that people are doing. I mean, it is time for Africa to start making its own impact, to start leading efforts for its own development. There are lots of good things happening in Lagos, in Rwanda, so many beautiful things happening in Kenya, lots of things happening in Ghana, I'm aware of. We don't need to start confusing the politics, and the politics will always be there. The corruption will always be there, and all of the problems, that will always be there. It's everywhere. The only thing we can do is to never stop talking, to never stop, you know, partnering with forums like this, IT organizations, and all of the names we have, and to do our own little effort. So yes, if there are financial based, not just financial, I mean, I apply data science and econometrics to fields like energy, the environment, improving health outcomes, particularly the United Nations Sustainable Development Goal 3 of good health and well-being. I'm very passionate about that. I'm very passionate about the disruptions in startups, particularly in Lagos. So 3 countries in Africa, sorry, I'm taking too long. 3 countries in Africa last year generated more than 50% or 80%, I think, of all the investments that came into Africa, Nigeria, Egypt, and South Africa. So there are lots of new, I'm sure you would have heard of some of these young startups coming up and being taken over to Silicon Valley and the likes. But there are lots of ideas. People are thinking, people are moving in the financial technology space. And yes, I'm very happy with whatever data we have to start making sense of what the future looks like for Nigeria. So thank you very much, and we can take that conversation forward after the forum. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. And there is a question in the comment section, in the comment that is asking us if the institutes we are taking membership, and if and what are the relationships we are keeping with other IT professional bodies. I will want to say that for now, the institute, we are not after acquiring members, but we are after acquiring partners, collaborators. Either you are in academics, you are in oil and gas, you are a medical expert, you are in the mining industry, you are a journalist, regardless of your domain. We want you to come closer, understand what we are doing, and you join us as partners. Why we are doing this is that before we start acquiring members officially, we want to make sure that the value we'll be adding to them will be very enormous. And we should not forget that data science nature being multidisciplinary, if we don't have use cases that we are bringing up in form of initiative or project, it will be difficult for people to understand that. Because if we are still at our early stage, just like 14 months of our existence, and if we open the room for membership, a lot of people that will be coming are those that understand what data science is from the IT domains. And this will not be healthy for what we are trying to do. So that's why we continue to render advocacy to encourage people from other domains, other background to join us. As your background is in finance, is in economics, is in business management. You have I'm talking about the guest speaker. You have some projects you are already handling in the business domains. So it's easy for us to understand that, and we collaborate. So people from your domain also, they can easily key into that and they will understand. So they will be the principal consultant for the institute when it comes to training professionals from that domains on what data science is using practical approaches. So that is the reason why we are focusing more on advocacy for now, and we are not so keen to say, okay, come and join us as members that you will now be, it will be very obvious. And now we are looking for problems we identify so that when people comes, they collaborate and they understand what we are doing, and they can go back to their respective organization, carry the news back to them. And when we now open the door for membership, we know what people know what they stand to gain at the practical level, not the theoretical level. And we should not forget that these tools, they are very dynamic. They keep on changing. So if we don't understand the practical application, whatever tool you think you are using now, it will be outdated and you'll be struggling, knowing other tools. But when you understand the concept at the very high level, you will know which tool will be better for you at any point in time, even despite the dynamism in this in operating these tools. Thank you very much. So please, if you have any question, you can ask, and you can signify. You can ask directly if you don't want to drop it in the comment section of the screen. Thank you. Do we have any comments? Any question? Okay. The event is recorded, and we are going to send the link to the recorded video to us via our mail. I mean, to the participants via our mail, as well as the slides. That is, if Dr. Festus so permit.
That's fine.
So we'll send it to your mails. So in the absence of no question, let me ask again, is there any question, any comment, any contribution? Please, you can unmute and just speak up.
Hello, good morning, everybody.
Good morning.
Good morning.
I'm Elo from Delta State, or in Nigeria. I'm just wondering, as an accountant, though, I'm sorry I came a little bit late because I had another engagement. I'm just wondering, as an accountant in the university system in Nigeria, how this data science will really be useful. Because, government setting, they find it difficult adjusting to changes. Even there are some accountants that find it difficult even using Excel. So when you start talking about data science, about Python, they become scared. But I'm still trying to find out how this data science is going to be useful in the bursary department of a university, a government university in Nigeria. Especially considering the fact that there are a lot of bureaucracy, and especially a lot of those that are in power or that are the aim of affairs are not that young. So when you start talking about computer, then you start talking about IT, data science, they get confused. How can we really marry every of those things, and how can we encourage those in the accounting department to really go into data science? Thank you,
Thank
sir.
you. Yeah, thank you. Thank you very much, Eloho, for raising that very important question. I must say this is a very, very important and a bit personal question you have asked, to be honest.
Yes.
So I did my NYS in Abraka in Delsu.
Wow.
University.
It means you might even know me.
and
I worked there for many years.
Oh, okay. Okay. We can catch up on LinkedIn and for everybody as well after this.
Okay.
And one thing to answer your question, I will split my answer into two. The relevance of data science and econometric tools for you as a person, as an individual, and your career path, and then the relevance of these data science and AI tools we're talking about in finance for your unit or your office or for the government and implementations and all of that within your department, the bursary department. The truth is the world is moving. Like our director said, the world is moving, things are evolving, tools are coming up. I remember many, many years ago, you do accounting with Excel. You just punch in all the money with Excel. And then after a while, there was Access. We started using Microsoft Access. And after a while, we moved away from Access. I think we started using, I can't remember now, but there was this software. Sage 50. Yeah. Sage, because I did ICANN myself. I'm a certified accountant myself.
Wow, you're my professional colleague.
Okay. That's great. So you could see the way the world kept moving, and the world is moving. And to be honest, with what IDSAI is doing, is to enlighten everybody to wake up, to say, you know what, the world is not going to wait. Our departments and our offices may be slow, bureaucracy and all of that, but as individuals, I think it's important to be dynamic. The challenge there is you say I should learn SQL or you say I should learn Power BI. Power BI is what I believe you need personally, Eloho. And it's a very strong tool to start.
Power BI.
Power BI, yeah. It's owned by Microsoft. Doesn't work on MacBook, works on Windows PC. Very strong, tool. And very easy to use. That's what you could use very easily. Now, the challenge for you will be, you're asking me to use this tool in my bursary department, maybe to run payroll or to run tax or to run returns. How do I find it relevant when everybody is using Excel or using
Excel?
So that would be the challenge. It will be a struggle to learn the tool and not be able to use it on a daily basis, because you only become stronger as an expert when you use it frequently. So that would be the challenge, but that's what you need personally. For the organization, of course, we need to look beyond the politics and the challenges of implementation. Most ideas don't normally survive in the public settings in Nigeria, not just Nigeria, but anywhere in the world. It's always challenging. So it's not, we don't usually work within an environment where new ideas, innovative ideas or solutions that can make our life
Hello? Hello?
Hello?
Okay. It's like our guest speaker is having some internet connectivity issue. So let me just take up from where he stopped. You see, he has said a lot of, okay, he's still speaking, okay.
Progress.
Sorry, I beg your pardon for that. Can
Okay.
you hear me?
Okay, we can hear you now.
Yes, we can hear you.
Yes, so I was saying when IDSAI, the Institute of Data Science and AI, when the director and the team start public training and public empowerment of people and all of that, it will be an opportunity for this institute to train the whole team. Obviously, we know how training works in public organizations. People go there, enjoy themselves, they travel all the way to Abuja, have fun, relax, they don't learn anything. But I think you wouldn't stop talking, Eloho. That would be my own advice. I mean, for the bureaucratic process. But you personally, again, when you look at your own vision for the future, for your relevance in the field, I think you need to carry on with your own investing in your own training. It is very useful. As I said, Power BI is a very, very strong and relevant tool for public domain in accounting. Very, very, very useful. You can explore it. But again, keep the conversation going. My director have done this training. It's very useful. Demonstrate how it works, bringing all payroll for the last 10, 15 years together and easily showing where loopholes are. Well, depends on the politics if they want to see loopholes or not. So again, managing that relationship will be very important. That's what I would say. I don't know if the director wants to add something. I hope that helps.
Okay.
Yes, thank you very much.
Okay. Also, I will add up that you see, IDSAI is a non-for-profit organization. We are out there to actually touch the life of the people. So you can find a way of organizing a kind of interactive session with your team in the bursary domain, in the bursary department and the IDSAI. So, because what actually matters is let the professionals understand what this is all about. Even if they don't adopt new tools, you've mentioned Sage, you mentioned Excel. Excel alone is still very powerful. And you see, the guest speaker even mentioned that Excel, advanced Excel is what we need also. But when you are using these tools, these are just tools. You need to understand the philosophy behind their usage. And that is where we need to come on a round table and we discuss what these tools are and what are your own, what are the use cases that you are facing, considering every confidential protocol you must maintain. Okay, so if we have this kind of session, I think where if the people that are actually doing the job, they understand this, even if it is Excel they are using, is Sage they are using, it will still go a long way to improve their efficiency in the bursary department. So I think we can start from there. You can perhaps organize a kind of an interactive session, and then we can see where we can get started. And secondly, we know there used to be debt fund intervention for staff development. So where some key staffs are selected for training. So such also can be exploited for the development of staffs for a particular tools that we aid the operation of the bursary department. So I think I have we've answered your question to a satisfactory level. Mrs. Elo.
Yes, you have.
Okay. Mr. Ibigwe, please, you have the floor. You have the floor. Mr. Ibigwe Anayochukwu, you raise your hand, please. You have the floor. Are you there? Okay. We cannot hear him. He raised his hand and he's not speaking out. So please, is there any other comment? Is there any other contribution or question? Okay. So in the absence of none, I will thank all the participants for being present in this virtual event. As we said earlier, we will appreciate if you identify a particular area that you want us to discuss, especially areas that are of real areas that are real, you know, things that are actually, how will I put it? We are looking for use cases that are real, not imaginary. Okay. So if you have such that is boggling you, there is a way you can bring it forward. We can bring up a kind of a generic chat with experts topic that will address that without violating the established confidential protocol in your organization. So we are really out to solve practical problems, to solve real life problems across different sectors, across different domains. So we are open to collaboration. We are open to trying to expose you to what we need to make your job easy using data science and artificial intelligence tools. Thank you very much for connecting to our event. Our social media, the links to our social media pages will be sent to you via mail, as well as the link to the video of this event. Thank you very much. We really appreciate your coming. We appreciate Dr. Festus Adedoyin for the wonderful presentation. As you said, the conversation will continue behind the scene, especially your economic related researches that involve using data science and AI tools. Personally, I will be interested, and I believe a lot of our people from the institute also, they are looking forward to be part of such project, especially my boss, Mrs. Elo. She's actually my boss. So thank you. Thank you very much. We appreciate. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right. Thank you so much. God bless you.
Okay,
thank you
very much.
Thank you.
Have a nice day.
You too. Thank you. Bye.